Engine 1 from car 1. Car 1's on scene at Subin Command. Give me a C.A.N report.
What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the C.A.N report. Nozzle Tov, everybody. I have, coming from the land of enchantment, I have Alec Davis, who is the owner and creator of Duke State Graphics. He has amazing artwork. He's out of New Mexico, is why I'm wearing my New Mexico shirt, Land of Enchantment. This is something near and dear to my heart because I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I still have family that lives in Rio Rancho. I have my mom, my dad, and my sister. They all live in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. So this is awesome for me to talk to you, talk about New Mexico, talk about your business, because also Alec Davis, he created that logo. He helped me. Him and I, we did this. It's a badass logo. So he's got a whole bunch of cool stuff that he's been doing. And he's a firefighter in New Mexico. So we're going to get to know more about Alec Davis. Quick housekeeping. If you haven't, make sure you click like, subscribe. Let me know that I'm doing well. It helps me to keep this going if you subscribe and know that I'm doing well and that you guys like it. So make sure you do that. Alec Davis, welcome to the C.A.N report, my friend.
Oh, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I'm glad we got to fit this in, man. We've been talking about this for a while, and I know schedules are crazy, and we're going to jam this right in here.
Heck yeah, dude. Let's get it.
All right, Alec, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Alec. Everyone knows me as Duke from Duke State Graphics here in the beautiful land of enchantment here in New Mexico. Firefighter for about 14 years, finishing up 14 this year. Happy dad, husband, outdoorsman, historian, you name it. Like I love it all. So
that's awesome, bro. I love it. So we'll dive into it. Duke State Graphics. How did you get into? Are you an accomplished artist? Did you go to school for this? How did Duke State Graphics come about?
I would honestly say I probably got out of school to do this. So the history behind my art path, if you will, came from being like in school suspension, not paying attention in class, all that stuff. So no, I have not been to college. I have not been to any special art school, nothing like that. This is 100% just something that I've always done. And honestly, I didn't realize that there was, I guess you could say, like a hobby path or a career path in it until a couple of years ago. So, yeah,
no
just
shit,
kind of
man.
spur
Like
of the moment thing.
that's impressive because the artwork that you do, it's very original. It's you don't see it anywhere else. You've got that niche of your style, and that's what made me really cling on to you. Is that you and I had like the same kind of taste. And actually, I think a lot of people like your stuff because it's edgy, it's metal, it's now, and it just seems like something you took time to develop over the years, and to have these images that you create. You have a very creative mind. The fact you didn't go to school for this is impressive.
Thanks, man. No, 100%. A lot of my inspiration comes from like, the old CCS and Thrasher magazines, that kind of stuff. Pretty much any artwork that was on the bottom of a skate deck at some point in time. Uh, that's pretty much where the imagination kind of goes to. And the
Now,
other
were
thing
you?
too, like,
Yep.
sorry to cut you off. Like,
No, go ahead.
I love kind of being the outcast, if you will, when it comes to the art sector. I don't like clean, I don't like straight, I don't like smooth. I like it to be kind of harsh, and I like it to be, grungy, and I don't know, it's something that I feel is important because that's also how I see a lot of solid firemen.
Yeah.
We're not straight, we're not, smooth, we're not perfect around the edges, and I think that kind of grungy style art represents the community well.
We're not white collar.
No,
Right?
absolutely
We're
not.
blue collar,
No.
and I think your artwork really encapsulates that, the blue collar atmosphere that we're proud to be. I think any firefighter that is really into this job and really knows what it's about, they're proud to be blue collar workers. We're proud to get dirty. We're going to get our boots dirty. We're going to get dirt on our face and under our nails, and because what we're seeing is not white collar business. What we're doing is not white collar
Absolutely.
business, and your artwork really shines on that this is going to be grungy, this is going to be dirty, this is going to be edgy, and our lines aren't going to be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For sure. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's fantastic. Now, were you are you a native of New Mexico, or did you transplant from somewhere else?
No, I'm born and raised. Believe it or not, I'm actually from Roswell. So yeah, you go ahead and
Oh, you're
insert
an
all the
alien.
alien questions and all that.
That's
Yeah.
cool, dude. So what department are you on in New Mexico?
We're for Ruidoso. It's kind of a resort town, if you will, mountain hideaway town. Our call volume ebb and flows with the traffic of our tourist community, really. It's actually a really small department. We have less than 40 personnel. Um,
Oh, well.
but we'll ebb and flow from say our 10,000 or so population all the way up to about a 50,000 or so uh, populace on the weekends, and so it's fun. We get a lot of that highway traffic, and that creates some MVAs, and of course, all the wildland aspect of it being in the mountains. So
Yeah. So what's unique about Ruidoso? So you said it's a very touristy place. What makes it touristy?
Well, I mean, honestly, kind of its biggest notes, if you will, comes in its history. So a lot of the history of New Mexico kind of originates in this area, and so it has a lot of historic pull. Anybody that's watched Young Guns, I literally live like 10 miles from where Billy the Kid um, kind of stomped around in Lincoln, New Mexico. So a lot
That's
of it
awesome.
is the historic climate, if you will. Some of the other big stuff that we'll see as far as attractions goes, we have big concert venues, we got the casinos, tons of outdoor stuff, hiking and fishing and snowboarding and skiing, all that.
So you're up
Um,
in the mountains and
yep. And then we have our midtown section, which is like a big shopping and kind of just get out of Texas or get out of wherever you're at and come over and hang out type atmosphere. So
that's awesome. Now, um, is Santa Fe on the way to Ruidoso? Or is that like,
y-
do you have to take that same highway to get towards that area?
if you're coming from like Colorado down, yeah, you might come through Santa Fe. So we're like dead south central.
Okay.
So actually just southeast of where you were born at in
Okay.
Albuquerque.
Yeah, I visit my mom quite often. Well, not often enough. It's usually yearly. But we every time we go to Santa Fe, and we also go to Madrid.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah,
so I was
nice.
curious if that was on the way. We love that area. It's it's very very artsy and a lot like again like we talked about earlier, history. Got a lot of history in there. So I love to go to those places. And I was reading up because I saw something about it. Like someone said, like Billy the Kid was in this area, and there's actually a gentleman who wrote a book about Billy the Kid. I guess an accomplished novelist that wrote a lot of history about Billy the Kid. I forgot his name, but he's got a whole museum in
Oh,
somewhere
nice.
around that area. So,
Heck
so
yeah,
you love history.
I do. Yeah,
What is it about
everything
history?
history.
What kind of history? Like, what is your? Because I love the Civil War, and I love the World War II. Those are my two biggest. And honestly, I guess top three is Civil War, World War II, and the Revolutionary War. Those are my top
Okay,
three.
nice. Yeah, so I'm a big World War II guy, and then believe it or not, I love like the pre-formative like Native American cultures.
Hmm.
Like before they had names, if you will, like, Apache or whatever. I love that. And oddly enough, um, kind of exploring some of their art and stuff is something that I had a big interest and hobby in a few years ago. And in conjunction with archaeologists and stuff, I would help go out and kind of identify Native American rock art sites. And so it kind of ties back into the art, petroglyphs, pictographs, stuff like that is something I love.
I love the Native American artwork. When I go to New Mexico, we go to a lot of. They have a lot of art fairs
Oh yeah,
in the
for
general
sure.
area, right? There's a whole crap load of art fairs, and the artwork is amazing. And I love seeing the Native American artwork. And there's a gentleman by the name of Mike Toyo, I think is his name. Toyo, I think is his name. He has some really cool artwork that I bought from. He makes Star Wars into Native American themes.
Oh
So
wow.
like, yeah, like the troopers are, they have like war masks on and they got feathers on, and
Oh heck yeah.
Darth Vader's got a headdress on and things like that, and he has them on horseback instead of actual like spacecrafts, and It's cool to see him honor his heritage and being a Star Wars fan. And he
Right.
does a great job with incorporating both. It's very, very
Oh,
cool.
that's cool,
And
man.
he travels around to all those art conferences and events.
Nice. Heck yeah. Oh, that's
So
great.
you got the history, Native American. I mean, you're surrounded by, honestly, where you are, history, Native American history as well, and artwork. It's you're so swimming in it. It's so
Oh
cool
yeah.
when you get to go to New Mexico because you have such rich cultures and such rich history. Honestly, there's a lot of artists in general. Like that's the big thing I've always noticed about New Mexico is there's just in general there's a lot of great artists
Oh,
in
absolutely.
the area. Like I think that's where like I think isn't like New Mexico really big into you have like art villages or communes or something like that. There's a lot of those people that live in their little areas and that's all they do is create artwork and go around and sell it.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, I would say that that's probably a big reason and why it, well, why I got into it, but why it took me so long to kind of expose it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because art, as you think of it, is not necessarily what I produce. You
Yeah.
think of, canvas and all that stuff, and it's really hard being in a state, if you will, and kind of exploring and expressing yourself artistically and seeing how other people are doing it, and you're like, oh, I can't even touch that, Um, so that's why it took me, 30 years to start showing it off, if you will.
Did you slowly develop your style? Because it just all of a sudden I've seen your stuff just pop up, and it just attracted me, and I just wanted to see more of it. Did it take time? Did it take a while for you to develop your own style, or all of a sudden it just kind of clicked, and you're like, "This is what I want to create. This is what I want to produce."
It was kind of overnight, really. I mean, mind you, I've always just had my own way of drawing, especially like back in high school and all that stuff. The corner of every notepad and whatnot had some kind of little, Duke State motif to it, if you will. But yeah, it was something that I didn't really plan on ever really showing anyone. Um, and then I started seeing this, the social media presence of some of the artwork, and I was like, well, let's try this.
Yeah, because there's a lot of artists out there now that are doing great things for creating artwork for the fire service. And like for me, creating logos and images. There's so many people that are out there doing it, and it's honestly it's pretty cool to be able to have so many people to choose from now. Because
Oh, for sure.
before it was like just one person, right? And or you had to know a graphic artist to create these images. Like what I like about you and I, because I've reached out to other guys, like I reach out to my tattoo artist. Hey, can you draw me something? Because that's what your stuff reminds me of is flash work.
Yes.
And so I'd reach out to tattoo artists. Hey, I got this idea in my mind. Can you help me out with that? So they'll create some ideas for me. And it's literally like talking to you when we created that metal up your ass logo. Like it just clicked. It was literally like talking to my tattoo artist. I'm like, hey, I have this idea for a tattoo. And you're like, hey, let's run with it. Let's do it. Like, and you tweaked it here,
Yeah.
you tweaked it there, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. And you made it so easy. And it has your flair to it and has my flair to it. Just like when I put something on my skin, I want it to also represent the artist, but I want it to represent me as well. And you do a
Oh,
really
for
good job
sure.
with that.
Oh, thanks, man. That really means a lot, and stuff like your graphic is where I like to explore the most. And so we take something that is known, if you will, and then turning it into ours and the fire services. And so that's where I kind of like to go when it comes to, creation. I like to take
Mm.
something that's, relevant and everybody recognizes it, sees it, knows who it is, whatever it is, and put a helmet on it or, whatever it may be. To me, that's always the funnest.
Yours is
That's what,
easily identifiable. There's no mistaking it. I know right away as soon as I see a logo. I'm like, oh, that's Duke. That's Duke State Graphics. Just like
thanks, man.
Primo stuff. Like and
Oh,
Primo
yeah.
has because he developed my other logo, and again, really easy to work with. And every time I see a new logo from him pop up, without even having anybody else to say who it is, I'm like that's Primo.
Yeah. Oh,
That's his
absolutely.
artwork. Job State Graphics. They're the ones I reached out first, and again, easy to work with, awesome dude. He's from New York, and he made it so much. He made it really easy, and it's cool just again to see develop like Job State Graphics is out there. He's he's got his logos everywhere that he's created for people. And then now you've got it, and then Primo, and it just keeps going. And I think it's great for the fire business, honestly, for anybody who's looking for, they're doing the training companies, or hell, that even departments that want to create new logos, company patches, or anybody who just wants to create logos. It's nothing wrong with it. And I think it's really cool to see all these new images out. And like I said to you earlier, though, man, you got to get on the ball with, I need prints, I need t-shirts, I need all the stuff that you create. Like, you have that master box that I saw, like, you're just playing around with some things. Like, those things are so cool. Like, you got Sid Vicious, you have all this punk stuff, and I just think it's fantastic. Like, I want to buy everything, and I want to hang it on my walls. And like, now, do you have a plans for in the future for some of this stuff? Like, I know you're super busy. You got kids, you got work, you got contracts you're doing now with your artwork. Do you, with a lot of the stuff that goes on in New Mexico with art shows, are you planning to do anything on the lines of that to try to sell your stuff in art shows?
The one that I've thought about the most is not in reference to selling. We have a really big art show here in the community that I live in, and it attracts thousands. And one of the things that I thought about doing is more so like an exhibit of like, this is the inside looking out, if you will, of the fire
Mhm.
service. We've had some big, kind of catastrophic wildfires, if you want to call it that, over the last what 5, 10 years, that have really influenced this community to loving and appreciating the fire service. And I thought it would be cool to dedicate some time to specific pieces that would just kind of bring up conversation with the public. And so that way it would be more of like an interface with the public
Mm.
than it would selling stuff. But yeah, it's definitely crossed my mind. We don't have a lot of conferences here in New Mexico. I always joke and say that, New Mexico's like the redheaded stepchild of the fire service. Uh, that's something that I more so am interested in, is trying to utilize my platform and social media to further influence the path of which Southwest Fire Service sees moving forward. Hopefully more conferences and stuff like that. And if we had that, then absolutely, I would probably move into, trying to, move some merch and stuff at fire conferences. But um, yeah, that local art scene is kind of where I thought it would be neat to just do some special pieces, so that way the public could, kind of have that perspective of, here's a fireman drawing art. Let's talk about it or whatever.
I like that. That's a great idea. I think that's it's going to helps a lot with the community to understand, like you said, the field, the view of your point of view of firefighting, especially wildfires, and maybe even do like a fundraiser to help communities and fire departments that are struggling with a lot of those fires that you guys have. Because right now, are you in the season, or is it
Yeah.
always the season? Because it's
It's
hot
kind of
there
always the
regardless.
season. Yeah, so I mean, I would argue that this is probably peak season for New Mexico. Our monsoonal flow kind of starts to set up. I always joke and say it's Mother Nature's weird sense of humor on the 4th of July. And so normally around the 4th of July is when we start to see our monsoonal pattern set up, and we start to get rain and everything, and that's where everything really greens up, there through like September. Um,
Mhm.
but right now we're kind of at peak season, and we have been getting some initial attack fires over the last few weeks as far as wildland response goes.
So what's that like? So if you can let us know, because here in New Hampshire, I don't even call them wildland fires, because they're really not. Like, you guys have wildland fires. Like, you guys have like day and week operations. Our brush fires, if you will, are literally that. Like, they're usually there's a road, and they usually get stopped by that road. They always make fun, like, where's it gonna go? We got a highway there. It's not gonna do anything more. And if it jumps, there's no houses. We do take them seriously. So don't get me wrong, anybody listening, we do take our brush season seriously. We do take our brush fire seriously. But again, the severity of it is not what you guys have in New Mexico. You guys are like, you have some serious stuff going on. What do you have, like, for your department? What is your deployment, or are you even on a special team for those wildland fires?
Yeah, so just kind of setting it up, every station of ours has a Type 6 engine, which is, just like your typical 5500 Dodge with, upwards of about 400 gallons of water on the back, pump package, all that fun stuff. And that's where, the bread and butter is for us as far as wildland fire response, is that engine work. Um, historically in my career, I used to work for the feds, for the Forest Service, and that side of it is a little different, right? Because that's dedicated wildland fire. Obviously we help with search and rescue and all that stuff back then, but responding with them is a little bit different than us, right? Because we are attached to a community. Um, Not saying that they're not, but we're still structure guys first,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And so, um, responding from our aspect is more so of like a property conservation. What kind of threats are we seeing? How is this going to impact the town? All that fun stuff. We just had one the other day that was it just I don't know, adjacent to the community by probably 2/10 of a mile or something like that. And so getting on something like that really quick and then setting up that continuum of the Forest Service response, into their jurisdiction and all that is real big. And so, having good ICs on scene right away to establish command, start communicating with aircraft. If we need to start clearing out areas as far as evacuations go and all that stuff, obviously that's huge. And it's really all the logistics.
Hmm.
I think it was DJ Shipley said in a podcast one time, amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics. And I was like,
Love it.
I like that. If you don't have that kind of motion and movement and sustainability in place, then the tactics almost kind of become irrelevant. And that really hit a note with me when it comes to the wildland response stuff, because really that logistics and kind of overhead, overall end state is kind of where things matter the most, right? What we do today tactically on a fire could dictate the response a month from now when this fire is still burning and impacting communities. And so
Absolutely.
having that good foundational response is massive.
Did you have to do anything or go on deployment for the wildland fires in LA?
We sent a crew.
Mm.
Yeah, we got the call, and me as the coordinator for our department that handles how we respond nationally, there was a crew that went out. I did not get to go. I was over there in California last October, and then the year before that also. Um, yeah, it's almost like a yearly event of going to California at some point during
Yeah.
the summer.
Do you guys go to Canada as well? Because I mean, it's like a yearly thing also with Canada because they got their fires going on right now. Do you guys deploy up that way as well?
When I was on the Fed side, a lot of the guys that I worked with did. I never got to go. I literally set up at a heli spot right there. There's the
Mm.
fence line, there's Canada, here's me. And we never got to go. But we were there supporting a bunch of cargo missions via helicopter into Canada.
Do you enjoy wildland fires? Because again, here in New Hampshire, we hate them. Like we want to be inside. We want to go to a structure fire. And usually
Right.
when we were like glorified gardeners when we're doing our brush fires. And I mean,
Mhm.
just to be honest with people in the world, like it's not sometimes very fun, and it's not glamorous either at times, especially again, what you guys are doing, it's freaking badass. You guys are on mountains and you guys are, I mean, you guys have some serious fire going on. Our brush fires, we got some fire in the woods. We scratch some lines, we put some water on it, and it takes about 4 or 5 hours, and we're done for the day. And maybe a couple weeks later it'll come up. But you guys like have a daily thing. When you guys are at your peak, like it's big. Like you guys have it all the time, and the weather, like the heat to just that sun beating down on you. Like we always make fun, like but it's a dry heat. Like that says up. It bakes
Yeah.
your skin off. It is hot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How do you deal
Yeah.
with the heat?
You just exactly that. You just deal with it. It's just kind of part of the game. And yeah, I do really enjoy wildland. It's kind of the foundation of my career. I started in that career path straight out of high school, and then, later came to the structure side. And I truly love it. I've
That's awesome.
been fortunate. I've got to fly in helicopters, rappel out of helicopters. I've fought fire in every state in the lower 48. If you drew a line from Texas up to North Dakota west, every state except for North Dakota and Oklahoma. So I've got to see my country because of these incidents. And so it's something I do truly enjoy and
No, you
invest a
guys
lot
are
of
hard
time
chargers.
into.
Like for men and women doing those wildland fires, the ones who really, it's like they are like a different breed. Like they are so physically fit. Like there's no slouches when it comes to what you guys are doing. Like you're constantly moving,
Mhm.
and you got to scale again. You're going up mountains. You're working in extreme heat conditions. You're out in the elements, and like again for structure fires, it's maybe about 5 to 10 minutes of doing some hard pushing, some hard work. Especially if you have your bread and butter room of contents fire, you're gonna go in, open up the bale, and hopefully the fire's out within 10 minutes, and then it's done. Like everyone patting each other on the back. But man, when you're working those wildland fires, you guys are moving for almost the whole day of walking up those lines and getting everything done. And yeah, like I said, you guys are just a complete different breed. You guys live for it, and you guys are just beasts when you're out there. How do you prepare for it? How do you get like your the physical part of it? Like, what is your training?
Yeah, so I always joke and say like the winter season is the bulk season, right? That's where guys are kind of coming out of fire season. There's no national deployments going on for the most part, and so that's where guys are kind of like putting on the muscle. They're doing all the heavy lifting. Most of the guys on my department, we all kind of compete with each other. We have our 1,000 pound, 1,200 pound club, and that's where we get a lot of like our actual, big heavy lifting, all that fun stuff. And then you kind of start moving into like January, February, and that's where it's a lot of ruck runs and stuff like that.
Mm.
I try at least 3 times a week, go put on a 25-pound vest to run a couple miles, and then start my workout. Um, in all honesty, the only things that I've actually noticed consistently that help me out is I keep the same workload as far as what I'm doing in the gym, except I'll do a lot of like run for rest and stuff like that. So I'll leave the treadmill going for the whole workout. And then instead of just kind of pacing around the gym or whatever it is during my break in my sets, I'll get on that treadmill and kind of keep that heart rate up and keep
Mm.
that continuum going. Jump rope is another good one. Just count your slaps and, say go to 100 or whatever. The wind bikes, just keeping that heart rate up because when it comes to wildland, you're really not necessarily looking for that explosive energy where we're looking for that in structure, right? We need to be able to force doors, move hose, drag victims, whatever it may be. Um, on the wildland side, you're more so just looking for how long can my body be miserable. And so that's where it's like, this is not comfortable. I'm going to keep going. And
Yeah,
that's that mentality you kind of got to implement into your workouts. And a lot of that's
you gotta
mostly
embrace the
mental.
suck on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, dude. That's awesome. What are some of the biggest events that you've been to, or what do you think are some of your biggest wildland fires that you've been to? Like were they
Yeah.
like again, did you have to camp out for a while, or
Oh, yeah.
did you? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, most fires that you go to, you can expect to stay for 14 days. If you're going on a national assignment, upwards of
Wow.
21 days plus travel. So it's not unheard of to be on the road for 24, 26 days. The big fire that we had last year that affected my community was the South Fork fire, and I was on that for 15 days. Um, Essentially every fire you're going to go to, you're going to stay. Of course, we do have our smaller scale, like initial attack fires that we do mutual aid with or whatever. And, those are kind of one and done if they're under, say, 20 acres. They're not necessarily a big deal. Someone can go out, put water on, put line around it, and go home.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, once you kind of get into that extended attack, you're going to stay. And you better
Yeah.
have all your comforts and everything with you in your 10-day pack because you're there. There's no going home.
So with that, do you know beforehand that you're going to be gone for those extended amounts? Like your area, it gets a big wildland fire. You guys are already prepared and know that you're going out for 14 days, possibly.
Uh, when I say yes, I mean like we're set up for it. So like I have a 10-day bag that's just packed and it sits on top of my locker at the station. Um, Now, mind you, like that fire response last year, we just kind of went out to set up around structures in the event that it came out. So we weren't necessarily like, oh, we're going and getting committed to this for X amount of days. We didn't necessarily know that it was going to push down. And it did. So you're not necessarily always going to have that direct access to it because, like I said, we're a structure department first,
Yeah.
medical and fire and all that stuff. So We don't necessarily just ride around with our 10-day bags on the truck, but we do all have our line gear and helmets and our own custom tools and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So
How do you staff for that? So when you guys have like a big operation like that, and again, it's in your community, and you still have, like you said, you're a structure fire department. How do you staff for that to keep the other emergencies staffed when you guys are on deployment like that?
this is probably going to blow a lot of people's mind. We have a true all-call system where,
Okay.
once say, C shift or whoever gets involved on XYZ fire, they'll call back either B and A shift or the whole department. And so you may be getting called back to, staff town, or you may be getting called back to go out and kind of, augment the response to that fire. But then again, leaning on your mutual aid is huge. Some of our local communities, uh, sent some of their engines over to staff our stations while we're committed to incidents, and uh, we've done the same for them during flooding events and fires and stuff like that. So it's just like a big share and borrow type program here in the Southwest, where you know no department around here is really going to touch the numbers that you hear about over on the East Coast and the West Coast. And so we have to lean on each other. It's a
Yeah.
community mentality of, a lot of smaller departments, if you will, banding together to kind of make something work.
How big is your department? How many personnel?
So actual operational personnel, we have 27, and there's a total of 31 personnel total, including chiefs and admin.
So when you guys have these big events, you do rely on mutual aid a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of
Absolutely.
other communities. Do you also reach out to federal as well? Do you get
Oh
a lot of
yeah.
help from that? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're pretty much an automatic. Well, they are an automatic aid. Anything that affects us affects them. We're completely surrounded by um, federal lands and whatnot. So our state partners as well. New Mexico State Forestry, USDA Forest Service, BIA, BLM, Fish and Wildlife Service over in Roswell. You
Hmm.
name it, everybody gets involved. So, and
That's awesome.
that's how the national scale is too. When I worked for the feds, it was never necessarily one of those things like once you got a big incident, it's kind of your problem. No, you've got people from Oregon and Washington and Wyoming or wherever all responding to your location, and it's just a big share and borrow type response on a national scale.
Wow. Yeah, that's you guys got a lot going on. That's a
Yeah.
lot of wheels in motion.
Oh, for
Now, when
sure.
you guys get your deployments, and again, all of a sudden it becomes boom, large scale. You're gonna have to bring your 10-day bag and plus with you. How does your family prepare for that? Like, do you just text your wife, call your wife, and like, hey, I'm going to be off for 10 days, because it's unexpected, right? Like, it's
Oh
not like
yeah.
you can plan for it. You're not going to be like, I got to go home. All right, hon, I might be away. It's like, no, you're literally at work. I'm not coming home. I'll see you in like 15 days.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. So normally it's like a phone call with, sirens in the background, like, hey, just got called out, we're heading over to whatever. I'll send you a text later, and that's, she'll hear from me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours later. And
Wow. Wow.
yeah, that's kind of how it
So,
goes.
how do you have a support system for that? Do you have a big family in the area? Do you have a lot of people you can lean on? Is your department actually a family? And I know this might sound like an odd question. Maybe people listening might think it's odd. Like, we all consider our family in the fire service a family, but sometimes you don't have that like really close knit community. Like, we know each other, but we don't know each other.
Right.
Um, for this type of community, do you have that really tight knit fire community that you guys can lean on each other, that wives and or husbands can all help with babysitting and helping with carpool and stuff?
Yeah, so there, last year when we had the big one, all the wives were texting each other, kind of staying in communication. The big thing, man, is like having a badass wife. I can't begin to tell you like how much she has gone through when it comes to me being on the road. And of course, just like life and, the like I said earlier about, Mother Nature's sense of humor, her car is always going to have issues when I'm over here. Or, there's something's going to
Yeah.
happen at the house when I'm over here. And so
Hmm.
just having a badass wife is key to the whole thing, because she's got to hold the fort down when you're gone.
And you
So
have
that's
two
the
kids?
biggest thing. Yeah. Yep. And
Wow. And then
they're
also to throw on top of it, with you're again with your artwork now too, because you're doing a lot of projects and you don't want to fall behind on that. So you have these deployments that you're doing, and you got to be a father, and you got to be a husband. That's a lot.
Oh yeah. I try to tell people all the time, especially when they start hitting me up around like January or so, and I'm a couple months out, like there's a possibility if you hit me up in January, February, March, depending on how fire season goes, I may not get your art done until like November.
Mm,
It's just at the will of Mother Nature. And then, we once we kind of having our monsoonal set up here, we're starting to get wet, things are greening up, fires aren't starting, they're not as frequent. We go out nationally. And so, we kind of gear up in our season and then we continue that on through like October, November,
wow.
where we go out to California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, all that stuff.
Wow, man.
Um,
And
yeah.
going back to family, like you said, you have a badass wife. Like, um, was she aware of this when you guys signed up to be a team? Like, did she like how does she cope with it? I mean, again, being badass is one thing, but how do you guys deal with it and stay structured and stay focused on the mission? Because I'm sure times get tough. I'm sure like things get stressful. I mean, I'm only working 24/72, but there's times where my wife gets kind of thin at the edges because she's trying to do it all, taking kids here and there. And man, I can only imagine me being gone for a deployment like almost 15 days. How do you guys like when you get home? Like, how do you keep that structure?
Man, it's it's just a blessing. I can't even begin to tell you. It's not necessarily a conscious function.
Just
You know,
works.
yeah. When she met me, I was working for the Forest Service, and so that's all she's ever known. It's all I've ever known. It's all I've ever done out of high school. I wouldn't know how to function if I didn't have this career, and so I would say that that's probably almost like our relationship, right? This is what we were kind of built around and on, so it just works. It's not necessarily something that we've ever really had to put like a true conscious decision into or thought process. It just has it's worked.
Worked.
Uh,
I love it.
True
Yeah,
blessing.
yeah, you guys just have it. Some
Yeah.
people do, right? And you
Yeah,
guys
for
just have
sure.
that team effect. I love it. Did you always want to be a firefighter when you were going through school? Because it doesn't sound like you don't have anybody else in your family. Is anybody else in your family a firefighter?
No, so I came from a family of cops. And
No shit.
honestly, that was something that I kind of thought I wanted to do growing up. Now, mind you, September 11th was kind of the turning point, right? I saw the guys in uniform and everything on the news, and I knew at, even such a young age, I knew there was two things right there. I wanted to hurt whoever did that,
Mm,
or I wanted to be those guys there. And it was kind of a polarizing thought process at such a young age, right? But I knew that those two things were what I wanted to do, one or the other. And so growing up, I always knew I was going to get out of high school, I was going to join the military, and then I was going to go on to be a police officer, fireman, or something like that. But first and foremost, I wanted to join the military. I threw that away with poor decision making growing up, juvenile arrests and tattoos, fighting, ear piercings. I mean, you
so
you
you and I
name
are a
it.
lot alike.
So, oh yeah,
Yeah,
um,
I've definitely had my arrests.
yeah, oh yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about the fire service is I stumbled upon the fire service not necessarily by accident because I always was very interested in it. When the guys would come by for prevention month and stuff at school, like they had my attention. Like that's what I wanted to do. I'll sign up right now. Get me out of class. Let's go. It wasn't necessarily that it was the fire service, though. It was just that being a part of a team that was bigger than myself and doing badass stuff. Um, so, whether it was police work, military, or fire, I was all about it and kind of whichever came first. And when I found out that I couldn't join the military, I was also like, well, crap, you got to be 21 to be a police officer in the state of New Mexico. So,
Mm.
I just happened to be working out at the gym and I saw a dude with a fire shirt on and he just happened to be a vet. And so I talked to him and he was like, dude, you've got to get in. Like, get in while you're young. He worked for the BLM and so it was a wildland guy. He was a combat vet in the whole nine and he was like, this is the closest thing that I've ever found to the brotherhood that I had when I was in the military. And so um, that's how I got into the fire. I mean, it was like weeks. I went and found a training, all that stuff, did it on my own. At the time, there was a small volunteer department that did wildland response out of state. And so I signed up with them and got on like their paid out of state assignments. Um, Fortunately, the engine captain that I had when I worked there, he was real big on like, if you're a new guy, I'm going to pawn you off to get the most experience you can. Well, he pawned me off to a hand crew or on a fire up in Nebraska, and that hand crew offered me a job. And so, yet again, week's notice, I moved to South Dakota, and then from there continued on to later get my career with the Forest Service, and then circle back around. Um, Decided I wanted to get out of the Fed sector and moved into the municipal side of things. And it was real important to me, though, with that foundation and uh, wildland, that the department that I went to had to have a good culture, number one. But number two, they had to have a good wildland program. And so, kind of shopping around for municipalities, I landed on the one that I'm with now. And
That's
it's
awesome.
been the best decision I've ever made, for sure.
That's awesome, dude. It's amazing how a field like that can really steer you into the right direction. Like you kind of feel lost when you're a kid, right? Like I felt like when I was growing up and when I was a teenager, broken home, crappy lifestyle, crappy everything, and always getting in trouble, always getting in fist fights. And I didn't know what I was going to do in life. I knew I wanted to get tattoos. And I knew I wanted to get drunk. That's usually what I kind of knew what I wanted to do there. That was my
Right.
weekends. But then I didn't have a direction. And then as I got older, I did start seeing like, I want to help people. I always had that urge. I wanted to help people. That was my thing. I was like, I love to be able to be in the mix and being someone that someone can count on. And I wish that I could have learned more about the fire service when I was in high school. If somebody came in like you did, like if they came in and said, hey, how about this for a career? These are all the cool things you can do. And if I saw dudes with tattoos and looking badass, I'd be like you, sign me up. I want to do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Like I want to
For
do
sure.
I want to do badass stuff with some badass dudes. And I never got to see that until I got older. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So that's my Mastiff barking in the background. So I wish I had that. But then once I got older, I'm like, that steered me into that direction that I wanted to head. And I'm so happy that we get to do that. And we're accepted in that. Because again, blue collar, it's accepting of us. Like we're not perfect. And I think like when in the fire service world, no one's going to be perfect. And I think that's why we are meant to be in this field, because we've seen it all. Well, I don't say we've seen it all, but we all have our different aspects of life, which makes us perfect for this environment. Whether it's somebody who's coming from a broken home, we have that experience. If it's somebody who has alcoholism going on and they need help, they need to be taken to rehab. We might not be having those addictions, but we might have come from a background where we've had to deal with that on our own. So we can help with that. Right. So I think that's really important to be able to have that environment and be able to just click with us and go, yep, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Oh, absolutely. It's I joke and say often it's the land of broken toys. And those broken toys, they come together really well and make things work. And there's a lot of guys in this service that they're replacing old addictions with the job. And more often than not, at least for me, those are like the guys. Like that's the dude that I want with me on the nozzle or out on the line or whatever it is. It's the guys that come from that rough background that know what it's like to lose and have the shit beat out of them and fail and fail and fail or whatever it may be. And then they find success with that second chance in the fire service and they grab onto it because they're never going to go back to whatever it was. And those are the dudes that I tend to gravitate towards and lean on. And I put myself in that category as well.
Amen, brother. I love it. You're 100% right, dude. That's exactly how I feel, man. You nailed that part. With wildland fires, and you talked about tactics and things like that. I'm going to get on more about equipment. I don't know if you've ever looked into the hen nozzle. Have you guys looked into that in wildland applications? If you have, what do you think of it?
Yeah. So to my knowledge, and this is coming from our local hen representative, that's where the head nozzle actually was born, was in the wildland side.
Yes, sir.
Um, and so when it comes to mobile attack, you're trying to directly attack the flames, but you're also trying to pre-treat the fuel that's in front of it. So that way, as you progress past that section of line or whatever you just wet down, it doesn't have that ability to kind of rekindle. And so when it comes to the hen nozzle, it's perfect for that, right? Yes, it is something that we've explored, and man, I put that on like every PO request ever. It's where did you get all these like 3/4 1 inch hen nozzles? But yeah, we haven't moved that direction yet. But that's the nice thing about the wildland side of things is that I feel like there's almost more options in a lot of cases than there is in the structure side of things. And especially when you look at like the social aspect of it, there's a lot of guys in the fire service on the structure side of things where it's like hen nozzle or nothing, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas the wildland mentality is more like adapt or die. Like you've got a million options. The one that works best for you is the one that works best. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect of it. And I think it complements, areas like mine and my department well is, you have that mentality that doesn't necessarily have that. This is the way we do it. This is how we do it every time type mentality. Whereas you kind of roll with the punches over here on the wildland side, and to have a department where you're good at both has
Mhm.
been huge. But from an equipment perspective, that's more so where I'm kind of taking it is, yes, there's a lot of solid tools out there, but there's also 100 other solid options out there. And that's more so where we explore is like, okay, this fails. How are we going to move forward? Okay, now that fails, or you need to do two of them. Now you need to move forward. And how are you going to adjust your tactics for that?
You're absolutely right. Your field definitely is going to be a bit different, where you're going to have to adapt and overcome because you can't go back to the station and get another piece of equipment.
Mhm.
If a nozzle fails or hose ruptures, like you're out there in the elements, that's nothing you can do. You can't peel another one off the truck, especially if you're deep into whatever you are in the mountains. Like you're gonna have to you're gonna have to use your hand tools for something or whatever
Yep.
water you got on your bag, or like you guys are like you said, that's some tough shit, and you can't rely on one piece of equipment to take care of everything. But I've seen the videos and I've seen the data and I've seen the knowledge and the science behind that particular nozzle. I saw it on the wildland stuff, and now that's peak wildland season. I've been seeing a lot more of those informational videos about using that nozzle, and it's pretty cool to watch. Like it really, like you said, it covers a wide area for you to be able to get ahead of that fire
Mhm.
when you guys are walking around and doing everything. And it's just impressive that widespread pattern when you need it the most.
Yeah, absolutely. The
And
one thing
changes.
I haven't looked into is like water conservation. And so, you know, it's not necessarily something that we truly think of all the time when it comes to structural response, right? Is, we've got water support systems in place. Okay, well that fails. Okay, order tenders or whatever it may be. You've always, in most cases, got water. Versus on the wildland side of things, that 300 gallons that you've got on the truck may be your 300 gallons, and it's an hour turnaround time to go draft out of a river or whatever. And so um, that would be something that I would venture off into if I was looking at, nozzles or whatever, is like, what kind of water conservation am I going to get out of this? Is it something where like I open the bell, it's flowing at a fixed rate, whatever, or is it something that I can kind of neck down and kind of monitor that water pressure, or, those GPMs and whatnot? Because that's
Now,
the other thing when it comes to like smooth
forgive my
bores, you
ignorance
just
on
dump
it,
it.
but is because again, you guys are completely different from what I do. But we utilize foam for a lot of our brush fires. Do you guys do that for your wildland fires?
Yeah, so like any of the fires that are in like our timber and timber litter, and then especially for structure protection, we use foam a lot. And so, think of like your average cabin in the woods that's surrounded by trees. One of the things that we can do is kind of pre-treat that structure with a foam layer, especially if it's got a lot of like leaf litter, needle litter in the gutters. It's all piled up in the crevices of the roof. We can kind of put that foam layer on there to protect from that ember catch and hopefully save that structure. But from a mop-up perspective, if it's in your heavy timbers, that foam will definitely kind of be a force multiplier for you.
That's amazing. I love that. I actually was just talking to Shane Bentley just yesterday, and he's I don't know if you know him. He's an awesome guy. I love me some Shane. He works for a company out called FCL X, and they have a extinguishing agent that we were talking about, and he says it's kind of like a big game changer, and they're looking for also looking at the class A materials as well. And he says it really does help a lot with that. It's not a foam that you don't have to worry about it sitting in your tanks that's gonna ruin your equipment or degrade. He says like literally you can dump it in there and it can stay, and
Oh, nice.
you're utilizing less water. And the way he was describing it and their science behind it was really really cool. Again, a new tool for the toolbox, right? It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
the way. Just like the hen nozzle is another tool for the toolbox. It's changing the way we do things, but this application, this extinguishing agent, sounds like it's going to be a real game changer because they're doing a lot for the EV vehicles with this
Oh, yeah.
extinguishing agent, but they're also doing a lot for the type A, the class A materials as well. And now talking with you, I'm like, man, that would be like when you talk about water conservation, that's a huge deal. And he talks about that it's going to conserve water when you need it the most. And it's not bad for the environment. He's like, literally, it goes into, you mix it in, and it's not harmful chemicals. It's all biodegradable chemicals, and he says it's literally safe for everything. And I was the way he talks about it again, and the material behind it and the data, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to look further into this, but something to consider and looking into. Hopefully in the future they start developing this more for the wildland fire side of things, so it
Right.
makes your job easier and safer for the environment as well. Because when we talk about foams, we have all the those chemicals that are in there. That's it's contaminated water sources, and it's bad for us. It's bad for the environment, and that extinguishing agent that Shane Bentley was talking about sounds like it's going to be a game changer for what we
Nice.
do, especially in wildland structures.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, I definitely need to look into that.
So I think it's cool. Like we talked about, like you're always gonna have to adapt. You always have to overcome, and I love that we are in the fire service. Fire service, we are doing better with looking at new ways to do things. And
Hmm.
I know we have to be cautious of things being gimmicks. We're so sometimes we're so quick to like jump on something that seems really cool, but we didn't do the data, we didn't do the science, we didn't do our homework, and you just got one person says, "Yeah, buy this. This is the most amazing thing ever," and he didn't even use it. Like we got to
Yeah.
make sure we're actually doing our homework on it. But those particular items seem like they're actually doing their homework and they're doing their science behind it, and letting us know like we're backing this product because we've done all the science, data driven, and knowledge behind these things.
Yeah.
And change is hard.
It
Change is
is.
expensive, you know, because
Absolutely.
right, because it's like we want all these things, but you can't just demand it. And it's I honestly, now as I'm getting older and understanding the big picture, like it's difficult as a chief when you have these guys who are really into the job and they see all these new tools and new ways to do things. Like, hey, let's get this, and he's like, well, pump the brakes for a second. We can't
Right.
just get something because you want it. Like, you need to present it, give me the data, let me know why this is so important to you and what's it going to do for us. How expensive is it? Is it going to last a long time? How often
Yep.
do we have to replenish it? All those things. And then you have the old heads, they're like, no, this is the way we've always done it. Give me a traditional smooth bore. We're going to put the fire out. Let me show you. And then you got the young bucks like, no, but look at this thing. It's super cool. It
Yeah.
can do all these things. Like, yeah, I don't need all the bells and whistles. And then
Yep.
you look at the price, right? So like, again, change is hard, but change is also very expensive. And you gotta have that happy medium. And do
Absolutely.
you feel that, like, for wildland fire side of it, do you feel like technology is working with you guys, or do you feel like it's kind of still on that same road of you guys trudge up a mountain, you got your hand tools, you're scratching lines, you've got your water packs on your back, you're doing airdrops, and it's kind of the same thing, or do you feel like it's evolving?
It's definitely evolving. And with that being said, there's no replacement for the assholes and elbows type mentality
Mm-hmm.
of get out there, get it done. However, probably the biggest advancements that we're seeing in wildland, at least from my perspective, is going to be like our UAS, our drone operator programs that we're starting to see, where we can actually do like our fire effects monitoring, our fire mapping, thermal imaging, just simple. Um, like scene size up type stuff with those drone programs, and we're starting to see that a lot, especially on these long extended attack fires. The feds or whoever will show up, they'll start deploying drones, and man, they've been a huge help. The downside is they're kind of a hindrance, right? Once you put something up in the air, that means something else in the air can't be in the air. And so, like our helo ops and all of our fixed wing and stuff, they kind of can't operate in these areas once we have
Mhm.
those UAS programs in place. But it's been a huge benefit, especially, like you referencing that fire last year. Um, Going into these areas around communities where, say, people are evacuated, we have to do good mop up and control of that edge. One of the best tools that we've seen, at least for me in the field, has been that UAS capability of going in and kind of, thermal imagery or whatever it is they're using to identify these hot
Mm.
spots so we can go in and kind of ground proof that area and then allow these people to come back into an area that we can for sure confirm, hey, we've had assholes and elbows going through there, literally sifting their fingers through the dirt and making sure everything's cool. But we've also had those drones go through there and utilizing that thermal capability to further confirm, yeah, we're good. So I
That's
think we're
awesome.
going to see those, type of, changes coming into the wildland side of thing, hopefully for forever. But I think that we're coming up on those big years where technology is really going to start catching up, and I hope it's all positive,
That's
just
awesome.
like any change.
Yeah. And you're right, man. Drones do definitely make a difference. And I didn't even think about that, like for that technology that's out there. That's a game changer as well. To have that to aid you in the spots that you can't see. That's, like I said, that's really, really important.
Absolutely.
Um, do you guys um, do you do night ops when it comes to or do you shut down when it comes to when you're on your deployment, you're battling those wildland fires? When it becomes like 9 o'clock at night, are you guys shut down, or do you guys continue to operate like all hours of the night?
So really, but like the emergency sets the pace, right? And so if we have a rapidly expanding wildland fire, we're working. It's not unheard of to go upwards of like 40 hours straight of work. Um,
Wow.
I'm sure there's people out there that are laughing because they've probably gone longer. But in most cases, no, you're going to be on like a 12 or a 16-hour shift. In most cases, it's going to be 16s. And then whenever your shift is done, normally there will be a night shift that'll come in. And so, the night shift guys, they're sleeping during the day and, coming out to the line at night. And so that exchange of tools type mentality, like, hey, this is what we did during the day. And then they kind of carry the torch on through the night and do what they got to do. Sometimes it's just, two or three engines to just kind of monitor the situation. Sometimes it'll be a whole, 300 person division that comes in at
Wow.
night.
Oh
And of
man.
course, that's that like logistical talk that we were talking about of having that constant rotation of people in and out, in and out. And that's
Yeah.
where like that ICS system is really just paramount and kind of holds the credit, if you will, for kind of keeping all of that rolling.
What are some life lessons that you've learned? What do you have for all of us for the experience of, like, because again, what you're doing is way different than what I'm doing, man. And my hat's off to you, dude, because that is some extreme work. That is hard shit. And there's got to be some valuable stuff that you've got along the way that you've kept in your back pocket. What are some things that you've gained for knowledge that you could give back to others?
Man, the one that I teach all the time is water is best applied with a tool. And so, when you're going in and you're putting water on something, you've got to have that actual like mechanical treatment coming in behind it to actually, change the orientation of whatever fuel it is that you're putting out. And so I believe that that mentality also carries on very successfully into the structure side of things, right? You can't just, fog out a room, call it good, and leave. Water's best applied with a tool, and that follow up is rapid and quick for you to kind of quickly allow yourself to obtain that success. And so, water's best applied with a tool. No matter how or how bad things are, they can always get worse. And so, sometimes it's best to not only plan for the known now, but also for the unknown later. And so, whatever you've got going at this moment, it may be the worst thing at the moment, but it can get worse. And so, you've always kind of got to have that little devil on your shoulder in a, metaphorical term of like, yeah, like this can get worse. I hear you. Think about it. Um, and then just staying fit. If anybody out there is looking to get into wildland, invest in your feet and invest in your health, invest in physical fitness. Um, good socks will go a long way. Physical fitness, there's nothing to replace it. Um, but I'd say that those are kind of the big three. But yeah, that's what I got for that.
I love it, dude. They're talking about actually taking care of your feet. What brand or what kind of boots do you like to use when you're especially out in the elements and you're going to be on your feet for days? Like, I know my feet would be tore up with what I usually wear at the station. So what would you wear? What kind of boots work for you?
There's nothing out there, in my opinion, that beats just a good pair of custom logger style boots, whether it's, Drews, Nicks, JK, Whites, whoever, pick your poison. I personally have a pair of custom 12-inch elk hide Drews boots that were custom built for me back in 2013, believe it or
Hmm.
not. So I've been resoling them and wearing them all these years. It's a big investment. You're going to spend, say, upwards of $600 for, a solid pair of boots. Now, for your average engine crew that's, they're just seeing a couple assignments a year or whatever, there's nothing wrong with these more hiker style boots, whether it's like a Scarpa Fuego or some of your Zambalens or the Danner Wildland Tacticals. I mean, there's a bunch of them, but if you're seeing those deployments many times a year, um, you've got to invest in your feet. Get you some good wool socks to go along with it. Yeah, they're $30 a pair.
Hmm.
There's nothing that'll replace it though. But yeah,
Wool
investing in your
socks,
feet like Drew's
good
is the way to
intrues.
go.
I do like I wear Danners for station boots, and I got to say those have been really super comfy
Nice,
now for almost over a year. And I've gone and trialed a lot of different boots, and I got to say the Danners for me have been really comfortable.
nice.
But I do like the idea of the wool socks. So wool socks, even in the dead of heat, those are good.
Yep, and I mean, as gross as it may sound, like those are something that you can keep on your feet for days on end and not really have to worry about as much. If you're wearing just like your average little Adidas, crew sock or whatever out down the line, you're gonna have those hot spots. You're gonna have little friction areas. You're gonna
Mm,
wear holes in them. But like a good medium hiker, wool sock is gonna go a long ways.
love it. Cool, man. That's a really good advice. I like that very much. And I see that you have your Rogue Firemanship T-shirt on, and you
Yeah.
talked about working out. Logan's the man. The dude
Yep.
is fantastic. Now you did artwork for him as well, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I
And
believe almost all of his artwork is mine. I could be wrong on a couple, but I think I'm almost 100% with that guy.
yeah, you did. You've done fantastic work, and I love Logan. I love his message. I love everything that he does, and the logos that you created for him are badass. And
Well, thanks,
when
man.
you talked about working out, you guys are like neck and neck with what you guys do. Like, I think you guys really have that mentality of like, you gotta stay fit for the job, and you gotta really train hard and embrace the suck and just keep moving past the hard times. Do you guys collaborate a lot? Do you reach out to each other with those kind of workout routines?
Yeah, we've actually talked about it, and sorry, Logan, if I'm spoiling any potential surprises, but we have actually talked about potentially doing a like semi-wildland oriented program
Oh, that's
where,
nice.
he has that expertise in physical fitness, and I have that expertise of moving dirt. And so we could figure out, how those complement each other. But yeah, him, Marcos with Hard Knocks, like
I
I
love me some
can't
Marcos.
thank those guys enough. They definitely were some of the guys that first set me up for success. But yeah, Logan, such a solid dude. We talk a lot.
That's awesome. I love that. And again, that's what I love about all of this. Like, to be able, like, again, 20 years ago, would you have been able to do this? No, you would have never
No,
known who Logan was, right? And he would have
right.
known and who you were, and these workouts. And this is just truly brothers helping brothers, sisters helping sisters, and making each other better for the fire service. And I love talking to all you guys for advice and ideas. And like, I've reached out to Logan about workouts, Nate Harpster, Marcos. asking them all about these workout things, because as I've gotten older, things don't work as well as they used to. You know, like knees start to hurt and shoulders start to get jacked up, and like I've reached out to them like, hey, I got a bad knee. How do you do these workouts where I'm not going to be favoring this, or how do you overcome that pain? And like I've reached out to Marcos and Nate on those aspects of it, and they've helped me and they've guided me towards helping to get me to where I need to be for my fitness level when I have a bum knee. So it's really cool to have that people you can rely on, even though if you've never even met them physically in person. Right. It's super cool to be able to have that relationship. And then when you finally meet them, it's like, it's just like you've known them forever, and it's just one big hug. And then you guys just get back to work and do your thing. I'm excited to see what you and Logan come up with and what you guys reveal. I think that's great. I love the fact that you could do like a wildland fire routine, because like you said, man, that physical fitness is key for what you guys do. Again, we do short bursts in structure fire elements, and we could take those rehabs. You guys can't. You guys got to keep on trucking. You guys got to keep on going up that mountain and getting that fire. So, dude, my hat's off to you, man. That's and I don't know if I can ask, I don't know if I'm sure you'll give me an honest answer. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it sounds, I already know my answer. Do you prefer wildland, or do you prefer going in and stretching the line and putting out a fire inside of a house?
Honestly, I'm a wildland guy. I hate to be the guy that says that, because
no, because I already had a feeling
fire.
that was going to be the case, and I just want to make sure that I didn't want to assume anything, but I already kind of had the idea.
Yeah, I mean, like rope rescue, wildland, like those are, I nerd out so hard on that stuff. But that's also where I come from. That's the fire service allowed me to start there, and so of course I'm going to be biased. But don't get me wrong, I love a good, extrication or a good, fire or whatever it is. So I
Now,
just love
when
the
you talked
job.
about monsoon weather, actually, I meant to ask that earlier. Do you guys do swift water? I imagine you guys get some good water rescues going on when you have the
Yeah.
monsoon season. So you're trained in that as well?
Yep. So yeah, honestly, it's all funny. We're kind of coming for full circle with this. So after that fire last year, that took out a lot of our vegetation that was kind of at the headwaters of our community. And so that obviously leads to increased levels of flash flooding. And when I say increased, I mean like about 8 weeks straight last year, we were pretty much either in fire mode or swift water response mode. And so with that being said, we have to be extremely well rounded. You may be on a structure fire right now, and then you're setting up for swift water response because, well, we got rain coming over the mountain. It's impacting the burn scar. Water's going to be here in 20 minutes. And the next thing you know, you've got some 18-foot wall of water, coming down the canyon. And so, yes, yeah, we do have a lot of I call them Swifties. And they kind of nerd out in the water response stuff, but
I do actually like that. So I have my Swiftwater 1 and Swiftwater 2, and
you're a Swiftie.
I'm a little Swifty. And it's funny to see me in water because I can't remember who gave me the nickname. Somebody gave me the nickname as a muscle hamster. And I look like a hamster in water. I really do. Like it doesn't look right. So when I'm in the water, it looks kind of funny, but I actually do like it. It got me out of my comfort zone. Granted, where I work and we don't have any of that. I got it because it was going to get me out of my comfort zone. Like jumping into rapids is not a natural reaction out of, that's not something you want to do. And I wanted to learn that. I wanted to get into something that's going to be different from structure firefighting. And it got me to be uncomfortable. And I really enjoyed that because it was a bit of a fear, like, oh my God, what if I hit this rock and I go under, I'm going to drown.
Right.
But it was cool to do it. And then once I took the first class, I wanted to immediately get into my Swiftwater 2 class. And so I have those, and I really do. Unfortunately, I don't get to do it, but I was on a team for a short time. And then I just really enjoyed the fact of doing something that not a lot of people really, really want to do. It's like wildland fire. Like there's not a lot of people that want to do that. Like that's, like I said, for me, it's kind of like a glorified landscaper in our neck of the woods. You guys definitely not like it. And you guys are not that. But Swiftwater is the same thing where not everybody wants to jump into these cold rapids and potentially get sucked under.
Right. For sure.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a little Swifty. I did it. I really do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to do that class. And again, being up north, like, man, we got great water, and there's up north, like probably like 2 hours from me, there's a lot of good rapids. They have a really, really good team of a lot of people that do that work, and they're super busy because they get a lot of good heavy rains and people not paying attention to the weather. But man, yeah, Swifty, me,
Heck yeah.
I'm again, it's like a furry little animal in water. It's really fun to watch.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah,
But
I
dude, I
haven't really
appreciate it, man.
traveled into that side. I'm trained in it. I train with the guys or whatever. I more so focus on like the ropes side of
Yeah,
it. If we're setting up water curtains or whatever, that's where I actually do come into play. And I love anything to do with ropes. And so
that's
it's
cool.
going back to like we were talking about, right? Like where you may not necessarily be the Swifty, but you may be the ropes guy that is gonna set up success for the Swift guy or whatever, and we can all work together to, achieve
Absolutely.
overall end state.
Yep. It's about helping that person. That's really what's the end.
Yeah,
The end mission
facts.
is just helping that person in need. Man, Alec, I appreciate you, dude. You're a lot of fun to talk to. I'm glad we got to do this. It was kind of on a whim. I love the fact that you messaged me last night. You're like, honestly, when you messaged me last night, I thought it was like something like dirty. You're like, my wife and kids are gone. Let's do something. I was like, man, this is gonna be weird.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Well,
I'm glad we got to get
I
it.
forgot to reach out to you, man. I'm so glad that it came up though. I just happened to hit my mind. I was like, "Oh, dude, perfect. This
Perfect.
is gonna work." So
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's a privilege, man.
Oh no, man! The privilege, dude, is all my man. It's been fantastic. It's such an honor to talk to you and be able to work with you, collaborate with you on the artwork. I'm hoping we do more in the future. My brain is always spinning, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot more ideas that I'm going to spit at you and get some stuff going.
Let's do it, man.
I'm sure Lenny Brown from Notorious Fire Company will be really excited to hear that I'll have more artwork for him to print up and get on my store.
Yeah,
And honestly,
perfect.
dude, without Notorious Fire, I wouldn't be able to have all my stuff for sale and the shirts printed. He's been a lifesaver. Anybody looking in to get artwork or to get your logos out, Notorious Fire Company, great dude, Lenny Brown. He will work with you. He's super patient, and he turns out a great product. He'll take your logo, take your image, and if Alec Davis from Duke State Graphics prints you up something and you need someone to ship it out, reach out to Notorious Fire Company. He does a great job with that. I got to give props to my guy from New Hampshire, Lenny Brown.
Yeah, heck yeah.
He's my man. Super great guy. Alec Davis, Duke State Graphics, amazing artwork. And again, it's impressive that you actually didn't go anywhere to hone these skills. You just literally you just did it. It's such a natural talent. And
Thanks,
it's
man.
so cool that you do that, man. It's that rare talent that some people have, and you found it and you just went with it and you're using it for all the right reasons. And man, also, dude, you are like just such a chill, humble dude. It's just so cool to talk to you. You're just so chill, and what you're doing is fantastic. Your attitude, your imagery, it's all makes sense, man. You just tie it all in together perfectly, and it's been a pleasure and an honor to talk with you.
Thanks, brother. I couldn't tell you how much I appreciate that. It means a lot. So thank you so
Absolutely, my
much. It's
man.
been a
Plus, you're from the
privilege
land
and
of
a half.
enchantment.
Yeah,
I mean, we got to
100%.
represent.
That's what it's all about, right? Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
is there anything that you have to promote your site? Is there anything you're going to be at? Is there anything you're doing special that anybody needs to know about, to where they can find you?
Hit me up on Instagram. That's it. I'm simple. So I have a local firefighter owned company that does all of my merch. It's important to me to keep it all in New Mexico and in the New Mexico Fire Service, and him and his wife do a phenomenal job. But yeah, if you need merch, just hit me up. I told you before we started, I'm the worst at representing myself. I hate selling merch. I don't like to actually sell anything. I just like to represent. And so
Well, you definitely
that's what
need to
it's all
start selling
about.
it, dude. I'm telling you, man, like your artwork, if anyone hasn't seen it, please go to Duke State Graphics. It's on Instagram. He's got a lot of good images on there. Again, if you need a logo you want, reach out to him. But I'm just looking. I'm waiting for prints. I need to get prints from this dude. Alec, your stuff. I need to hang it on my walls. I need it in my living room. I need it in my office. Like, it's literally artwork that I want to see in people's rooms. Like, it's just
Oh, that's
such
cool,
cool
man.
shit, dude. Like, you don't see it very often. So, thank you for creating something so original. Thank you for being so cool and down to
Thank
earth.
you,
I
brother.
love what you're doing. Also, be safe. What you're doing, you're in peak season. I want you to be safe. Come back to your family. Because I want more artwork from you, but I also want you to be there for your family as well. I
Yes,
mean,
sir. Yeah.
I'd be a little selfish, but I also want you to be there for your family and for all the people that need you. So thank you so much. Everybody, make sure you are checking out Duke State Graphics, Instagram. Reach out to him if you have any ideas or just looking at how you can get anything from him. I love you all. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And remember, click like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know that you guys are loving it. And we'll keep going with this. You all stay safe. Mazel tov.